Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings, to our ever-deteriorating, increasingly hypocrisy-filled society. You know, one where political violence is becoming the new norm and is escalating. All the while, the establishment divides and conquers us, so of course we never actually go after the people truly screwing us. All of this as some people are throwing out good food to virtual signal, as a lot of other people go increasingly more hungry. And if you're angry, you should place all of your emotional pent-up feelings at Orange Man driving golf cart fast. The same Orange Man connected to very bad people, which his exact political opposition is tied to as well. Yay! Things are so swell. And that's why in this video we will be talking about these very bad people, specifically from a nonpartisan perspective, since of course there is a lot of misinformation, propaganda, and just outright lies when it comes to the important case and all the latest developments, of course, surrounding Ghislaine Maxwell. There are a lot of important things happening right now, specifically also the bail hearing for Ghislaine Maxwell, which, by the way, 3 days ago we told you that she will most likely receive bail and be freed. Now we're also seeing the mainstream media run with similar headlines 3 days later after our conclusion. But if Ghislaine Maxwell is freed, this leaves a lot of serious questions regarding, of course, the alleged videotapes that Ghislaine Maxwell has. And that's why in this video, we specifically will be focusing on these videos and its relevance to, of course, all the very powerful people connected to the inner web of Jeffrey Epstein. And we're going to do that, plus a lot more on this 100% demonetized, shadow banned, and heavily censored channel, mainly because of you and your support. Sharing this video is one great way to help us. Another way is by using amazing platforms like Brave, which, by the way, is just a free internet browser, just like Mozilla Firefox, which you could download. It doesn't cost you anything, and it provides you a bunch of really incredible, cool features that enhance your privacy, save you a bunch of time, and also earn you cryptocurrencies. Yes, you earn online tokens, which you could convert to dollars by simply using an online browser. This has been one of the key ways that this news organization has been supported, because if you download this from our specific referral link and you use it for over 30 days, again, it doesn't cost you anything, we get rewarded with those cryptocurrencies. And this is one of the leading ways that we get supported. And I just got a new computer system, and already with the bandwidth, time, and privacy features, this is truly something that I personally use, I enjoy, and is a lot better than, of course, the big tech monopoly-controlled services that profit off of you. Here, you profit, so do I. This is a win-win for everyone, and just by simply downloading this browser from our referral code, using it for over 30 days, you're probably going to use it for way longer, like I am, you help support us at the same time, so definitely check out the link in the comments and description down below. Now, when it comes to this very important Ghislaine Maxwell saga that's unfolding in front of us right now, we do have to understand that a lot of people are politicizing it, and this is an issue that shouldn't be politicized, since, of course, thousands of children were hurt here. There's a lot of disinformation going around that I've been seeing a lot on my timeline that are alleging that U.S. President Donald Trump tweeted that he did not know Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, which of course he has been pictured with many times before. Obviously, this is not true, but previously, before, a few months ago, he did claim that he did not know Prince Andrew, an individual which he has been photographed many times throughout the years. We're going to be talking about Prince Andrew in just a little bit, since there is some information alleging that he is on some of the tapes that we're going to be talking about here. And again, I don't want to get political here. I addressed Donald Trump with his connections here, which are very complicated and convoluted. There's some evidence suggesting two very different versions of the story here. But regardless of that, I think one thing is clear is that with this particular case and the larger child trafficking operation that was happening here, we still don't know enough. And the federal authorities need to provide more accountability and transparency in this case. Since, of course, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were inside of the world of the most influential people on Earth. Again, it's not just Trump affected here. It's a lot of significant prominent individuals that Ghislaine and others had access to. This is why we're not seeing a lot of celebrities cheering on the news of the recent arrest of Ghislaine Maxwell. Quite the contrary, we are seeing the opposite of that, as of course many people have reason to fear of Ghislaine letting the cat out of the box and implicating them in some of the most worst, atrocious actions imaginable. And just like Trump, when we look at the Clintons, there's also a lot of evidence and photos that do deserve more of an explanation to, that we need more transparency from. Just like this photo of Bill Clinton being pictured here around the arm of Epstein's private massage therapist. There are also allegations that Clinton even had an affair with Ghislaine Maxwell, but yet again, there's still no smoking gun, just a lot of circumstantial evidence that we need answers to, that we need to hold the government accountable to get those specific answers because of the mystery shrouded in this entire case. And of course, we have to understand here the greater implications that it wasn't just Ghislaine, here by the way, who's pictured in the 1980s, hosting a children's event, of all things, but it's not just Ghislaine here that is responsible. When we look at the events that unfolded, especially from the perspective of the victims, it was local law enforcement, it was prosecutors, it was judges, it was federal agents, federal authorities, politicians, even medical doctors that were a part of this entire operation, which they're implicated in. And now, according to reports from the Sunday Telegraph, there are 4 other women being investigated for procuring minors to Jeffrey Epstein and his long list of celebrity friends. Those names include Sarah Kellen, Adriana Ross, Leslie Groff, and Nadia Marcinkova. Individuals who, of course, had ties to Jeffrey Epstein. And when we look at some of the victim testimony, the way that Jeffrey Epstein worked is that he would pay some of his victims or other women to procure younger women for him. And of course, it wouldn't be surprising to me, especially with the long list. And even Jeffrey Epstein bragging about having thousands of girls, that of course way more people were involved here, and specifically paid off to procure more victims. Virginia Giuffre, one of the victims here, actually even tweeted in response to this news saying, quote, "Finally, the hidden women who helped orchestrate the procurement of so many young women and teen girls are being outed." Now, an important aspect to understand here is that after getting an underage child, or in some instances a young-looking woman, Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein would groom them and use them personally and give them off to their influential celebrity friends in specific locations with hidden cameras. Since, of course, all of Jeffrey Epstein's properties are reported to have secret surveillance technology, as well as entire video recording and surveillance rooms, which Jeffrey Epstein had many videos and photos because of. Very powerful photos and videos that he could later use to extort a lot of these very influential bankers, tech heads, politicians, or whoever it might have been to do whatever Epstein or whatever group he worked for to do, or he would threaten to release some of these photos and videos to the public. That's how largely this extortion racket worked. And now, according to the reporting of The Sun, an anonymous ex-jewel thief is claiming that Epstein and Ghislaine forced him to watch unspeakable videos involving 2 high-profile U.S. politicians and 2 high society figures involved in unspeakable actions with children. Now again, we have to understand here that this potentially could be true, but this is coming from, again, an anonymous, quote, ex-jewel thief, and the reporting from The Sun, which is questionable here. Could it be true? Maybe, but we need more evidence. Again, but we do know for a fact that Epstein did have secret media rooms, and his properties were filled with secret recording equipment. That is a fact. And it's a fact that many prominent individuals were coming in and out of this house, which was bugged with the latest surveillance technology. Now, another thing worth noting here is that this anonymous ex-jewel thief is also claiming that he had physical relations with Ghislaine Maxwell. He also reports a, quote, parade of underage girls coming in and out of Epstein's residence. He also says how he was propositioned children and said no, and how he was forced to watch videos of children since he says Epstein and Maxwell were trying to, quote, impress him, and that they wanted to convince him of the power that they held in their, quote, grip, which they boasted about, quote, owning powerful people. Now, this guy, who also gave himself the fake name of Steele, says that he collected as much evidence as he could, including, quote, discs and things they were trying to get, quote, rid of, and says he sent them to the authorities, and he does not know if the authorities did anything with them. He also says Epstein and Maxwell asked this Steele character to find girls for them, and even detailed the plan which allegedly Epstein told him about kidnapping 100 young girls to, quote, have babies with, which goes along with some of the eugenicist ideas that Jeffrey Epstein had, as he openly talked about, quote, seeding the world and spreading his seed. Now, one thing that is clear is that there are videos which even the federal authorities admitted to finding in Jeffrey Epstein's safe, which they described as a, quote, vast trove of illicit photos. Yes, the federal authorities admitted that he had illegal illicit photos on him, which now the federal authorities have. And with that, we have to kind of ask ourselves, what has happened to those things? Have there been other charges related to them? Can we have some transparency here? Or are the federal authorities and big bureaucratic government agencies like the Federal Bureau of Investigations using it for their own malicious extortion purposes? And the FBI has used extortion in the past and is a political organization. This is again why I've been saying we need more public pressure here than ever, and we need to push for more accountability. Now, according to this ex-jewel thief, he had copies of evidence that he sent to the federal authorities, but he did not make a copy himself, which, if this story is true, is absolutely not a smart thing to do. Now, along with the Jeffrey Epstein tapes, we are also getting information that Ghislaine may have tapes of her own. This is according to yet another anonymous former friend of Ghislaine Maxwell that told this to the Daily Mail, another news organization whose practices should be questioned. But according to them, and according to this anonymous friend of Maxwell, she says that Ghislaine is very cunning, that she has her own insurance policy, and a secret stash of tapes that she, quote, squirreled away, which could end up getting her out of jail. And according to this friend, quote, she has copies of everything Epstein had, which could implicate the, quote, movers and shakers. And after researching Ghislaine, her abilities, her skills, she, by the way, also has a submarine and helicopter licenses and qualifications, seeing some of the testimony from victims about her, it wouldn't surprise me if, of course, she does have this secret stash of tapes. And also could be one of the reasons why she could be getting a plea deal, which we wouldn't know anything about. Another thing to consider here, the fact that the federal authorities won't do anything, is also the fact that the cases against Ghislaine Maxwell go all the way back to the 1990s, which would prevent a lot of prominent individuals from being investigated, since, of course, they weren't around in the specific time period that Ghislaine charges stem from. And again, charges are not as strong as they were against Epstein. If there is a court proceedings, it won't implicate people like Dershowitz, the Clintons, and Andrew, since, of course, from all the public information we're getting, they weren't involved with Maxwell during the times which she is being charged for right now. Now, when it comes to Prince Andrew, he, of course, has had the spotlight on him from all of this, especially after his car crash BBC interview. And now, according to a lawyer representing Virginia Roberts, according to that lawyer, Prince Andrew has been secretly caught on video at the residence of Jeffrey Epstein. According to David Boyce, he said, quote, "There is no doubt Prince Andrew would have been captured on footage filmed in rooms and private areas of Epstein's property. Specifically, the same property, the New York mansion, which the federal authorities said that they got a trove of evidence from." Now, this is the same Prince Andrew that, of course, federal authorities want to talk to and have said that he has not been complying with them and not responding to their requests. Prince Andrew says that he has been, quote, reaching out, but of course that's not true according to the, quote, federal authorities. Now, obviously, with this kind of larger implication, it's really up to the people to kind of push this issue and the awareness surrounding this issue, because we need to set an environment where other people feel comfortable with coming forward, as well as putting pressure on the federal authorities to be transparent and accountable here. We need that more than ever. And according to some of the lawyers, new victims are coming forward, specifically surrounding Prince Andrew, and whoever it may be. Whether someone with the name of Trump or someone with the name of Clinton, we deserve to know the full truth and to not make this a divisive political issue. The federal authorities haven't done their job here for over 3 decades. We have to make sure that they do their job now. They could have charged Epstein and Maxwell in the 2002 case, but they're not doing that. We have to understand that Donald Trump's former Labor Secretary Alexander Acosta, who worked as a prosecutor in Florida, giving Epstein the deal of a lifetime before. He also came out and talked about how he was told Epstein was intelligence. But before that, the official explanation from this particular case we got from the federal authorities was that Epstein, quote, cut a plea deal. And after looking at some of the investigations, it looks like there wasn't any kind of plea deal, but this was the excuse used, which could be a similar excuse used for Ghislaine Maxwell. Watch out for this specific variant as a possibility to unfold here, and also watch out for the possibility, which I think is very likely. I do think that Ghislaine Maxwell will be released on bail very soon, mainly because, quote, she is a first-time offender because of the whole COVID situation, and mainly because of overall kind of very weak charges against her, going all the way back in the 90s, which are only for trafficking and not for the assaults which many victims accuse her of. And if she is released on bail, that means that she most likely does have the secret stash of tapes. What is she going to do with them once she is free is the bigger question here, and this should be considered and brought up on all the mainstream media news channels. Instead, we have Orange Man go slightly fast on golf cart as the leading news story for many, quote, journalistic news organizations, and that's an absolute sham. And that's why I'm here almost every single day, researching, studying, and investigating these very important cases that truly shed a light on what truly is happening behind the closed doors of the most powerful and influential individuals in our society, an ever-breaking society. And of course, what do you expect with people like this at the helm of it, avoiding justice for over 30 years? So yeah, that's what we're dealing with right now. And just for simply making this video, it will be shadow banned, it will be censored. Of course, it's already demonetized 100%, of course. All of this as YouTube pushes the mainstream media garbage onto you. But again, we're here mainly because of you, I wouldn't be here if you weren't sharing this video with your friends and family members, if you weren't supporting us, and of course, if you weren't watching this video all the way up until this point. And because you're still here, this is why. Love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.